Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful Monday. Today what we're taking a look at is 8 new baby crested geckos that have hatched out this year in 2020. I like to keep you guys updated on all the geckos that are hatching out and all the things that are going on over here. So I'll probably make a couple videos updating you guys in the future on how these ones are doing, kind of like I did last year with the 3-month, 9-month, and 1-year videos on the babies from last year. So I'm planning to do pretty much the same thing this year, just to show you guys some of the pairings I got going on and what the babies look like and to see how they progress. But let's jump right in with our first hatchling. This one is out of Autumn and Hyde, and I'll show you guys the parents too, so you can kind of get a idea of what some of the babies look like here. Now this one has a decent amount of pattern for how big it is. Unfortunately, a lot of the babies that have hatched out so far this year have been quite small, closer to 1 gram rather than 2, which isn't good. That means I'm incubating them too high and they're hatching too soon. I'd prefer that they stay in a little bit longer but hatch out bigger. But you can see this one's got a pretty cool dorsal. Usually when they have a dorsal that's kind of like this, I always think cream, so I wouldn't be surprised if this one gets a really nice creamy dorsal on it. I mean, it would kind of make sense with Hyde. And Autumn last year produced a lot of really nice orange babies, so it's hard to say if his pattern will stay orange or if it'll go creamy like Hyde's, but either way, this one looks really nice already. The structure on these guys is fantastic too for a gecko that's only 1 gram. But let's show you guys the clutch mate to this one, also from Autumn and Hyde. You can see this one looks pretty similar to the last one. Just crazy crests on this guy, and you can see near the tail here that like the dorsal pattern is like fading away almost. I thought that was pretty cool, kind of unique. I don't see a lot of geckos like that. The pattern on the sides though looks almost exactly the same, so it's hard to say how these will look, but I'm guessing that they're going to be creamy just because they didn't hatch out orange, and all of Autumn's babies last year hatched out pretty bright orange right away. So nice looking babies. Let's put them away and let's move on to something a little bit more red. So I know this is one of the pairings you guys have all been waiting for. One of the ones I get the most questions about is the patternless red crested geckos. Am I going to have babies for sale? Or am I going to have any babies, available to you guys? Well, here's a first look at one of the red babies from this year. This is the very first one to hatch out. You may be saying, well, that doesn't look very red to me. He looks pretty brown. Well, most baby red crested geckos, in fact, I'd say probably 99% of them hatch out brown, and they get red right around the 5 to 10 gram range. They start to color up. How red they'll get is hard to say, but just considering the parents here, which are Enzo and Julia, I would say that they're going to be pretty red. Now this one doesn't have a lot of white on it, like the other one, the clutch mate to this one is, but still just a nice little patternless red, a classic. Now here's the clutch mate to that last one. You can see this one has a little bit better structure. It's got some white going on the dorsal, the white kneecaps, and it's hard to see in the video, but it has a couple little white, like, I don't want to say portholes starting, but it's got some white spots. So this is probably going to be the nicer of that pair so far. I've only had the one clutch hatch out, but we're due for another one in just a couple weeks here, so it'll be interesting to see how those compare. But like I said, these reds always start out brown, and they almost always turn red. It's unlikely that these little guys will stay brown like this, especially considering that both parents are patternless reds. I would say, there's a 99% chance it'll turn red. Generally, if you breed 2 reds together, 2 patternless reds, I would say you're probably going to get more patternless reds with, the occasional oddball in there. You may get a Harley or something, especially if it's like a reverse and not just a patternless. But yeah, these guys are really nice. They're going to be definitely red as adults. Really cool right off the bat. Now this guy is from one of my experimental pairings. I haven't talked anything about these geckos, but you can see it has crazy structure right off the bat. I mean, that crest is like almost like folding over. There's so much crest. I mean, that's crazy. And you can see it's got 3 big Dalmatian spots already. I would say there's a pretty high chance that this one will be, semi close to super Dalmatian territory as it gets older. Both of the parents have a decent amount of spots, especially the mother. And what I was going for with this pairing is kind of a pink / lavender and creamy Harlequin Dalmatian, I guess. It was just one of the things I wanted to test out. I didn't really have a name for the parents either, but you can see from the pictures that they are both pretty nice, especially the male there. So I'm guessing that these guys are going to kind of glow up as they get bigger. They don't look like much now, but I bet in a couple grams they will. And you can see here's the clutch mate to that last one too from the same pairing. Unfortunately, I caught him mid-shed, so he was kind of triggered at me, but you can see that little face is saying, oh, put me away. I don't want to be out here. I'm shedding, but had to show you guys him. He's pretty cool too. He doesn't have as many spots as his sibling, but I think they'll both be very close to Super Dalmatian territory just because they both hatched out with a lot of spots. So, that's always a good sign when they're this little. Now this is from a pairing, another kind of experimental one, a red male and a flame female. Neither of them are kind of, these brindle tigers. So this one is really odd to me. This is what happens sometimes though when you're breeding crested geckos. You get an oddball like this. You can see this gecko is kind of like a dark brown, kind of creamy flame almost, but it's got a lot of brindling going on, or I guess you could say almost like a tiger. But like I said, this happens sometimes. It's just one of the cool things, kind of why it's an experimental pairing, seeing what both parents are producing. And here's the clutch mate to that one. You can see this one's more normal, what you'd expect, right? But I wouldn't know that I could be getting some weird brindles had I not bred them together first. So it's kind of a good way to test out and see what your breeders are producing before you go ahead and breed them with something maybe a little bit nicer. Like you wouldn't want to breed a red male that doesn't make any red babies if he's going to be used in a red project. You'd want to use him for something else. You know what I'm saying? I think it's good to sometimes test out geckos if you don't really have any lineage on them. And that's what I was doing here. And I got a really nice little baby. But yeah, that's going to about do it for our little babies in this video. And one thing I should mention is that holding little geckos like that just hatched out is really never a good idea. So, keeping them on the cardboard is probably a good idea. If you're breeding crested geckos, you probably already know that. But just in case you didn't, you want to hold the little ones as little as possible. And anyway, if I didn't mention this in the beginning of this video, this red crested gecko is one of the ones from last year. Not one that I bred, but just one of the little babies that I had. I picked up at a local shop. Pretty cool. I thought it was kind of interesting. At the time, it was brown. Imagine that. It was brown. So, you can see the glow up here is quite good. Turned out to be another kind of patternless red. And, this one will probably be staying in the flock for a while. I love the patternless red crested geckos. I think everybody does, though. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. You guys have been absolutely killing it with likes on the videos. So I really appreciate that. You're making the videos blow up. But anyway, thank you guys so much, and I hope to see you in next week's video.